only on MSNBC.
As Tom Perez and I discussed earlier in the show, there's something that lurks ominously in the background of this upcoming presidential campaign. And that's the simple fact that the Trump administration is using the Department of Justice to actively try to destroy the entire regulatory structure of all of America's healthcare system in the courts. Having failed to repeal the Affordable Care Act, the ACA, twice, the Republican Party did manage to repeal the tax penalty that came with the individual mandate that said you had to buy health insurance, and if you didn't, you got a little tax increase. And then a bunch of Republican attorney generals joined by the Trump administration went to court with a really tortured legal theory. It was like this. There's no longer a tax penalty for refusing to get health coverage. Therefore, it's no longer a tax. And that means the individual mandate itself was unconstitutional. And this is where it gets really crazy. And that means, so you take away the individual mandate, that means the entire ACA, all of its nearly 2,000 pages, the protections on pre-existing conditions, the Medicaid expansion, insurance exchanges that have brought coverage up to 20 million more people, the ability of young people to stay on their parents' health care, all of it has to be struck down immediately. Gone. Done. The argument is, in the estimation of most legal experts, nuts, also politically toxic, and yet here we are. 1 year ago, a Republican-appointed federal district judge found in the Trump administration's favor, struck down the entire law. And that decision was halted from going into effect until appeal. And then yesterday, in the middle of the president's impeachment, a 3-judge panel on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled 2-1 to back up most of that ruling. It did, however, send the case back down to the district court judge to figure out if, do you really need to scrap the entire law? Now, here's where things get interesting. The most cynical view of all this is that conservatives and Republicans, including those sitting on the federal bench, realize that a big, high-profile Supreme Court case that would consider getting rid of all of the ACA would be absolutely toxic in an election year. And so, 2 Republican-appointed judges on the appellate court decided instead to delay that by sending the case back down to the district court judge, see if you can figure it out, and lo and behold, it can't get up to the Supreme Court in 2020. Aha, but California and 20 other states who are suing to keep the law intact now have decided to call the bluff of those seeking to kill it. And they are asking the Supreme Court to consider this case striking down the entire ACA this year, which would be the 3rd time the Supreme Court will have faced such a choice. But this time, if the Supreme Court takes the case, it would be in the 2020 election year, when literally the most unpopular thing Donald Trump has done in his presidency, based on approval ratings, is try to repeal the ACA. It's anyone's guess whether the Supreme Court wants that hanging in the balance in 2020, but Donald Trump definitely does not. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.